The descent of the Watchers was not just a physical arrival, it was the start of the first technological revolution in human history. According to the Book of Enoch, these celestial beings brought with them a forbidden curriculum, secrets stolen from the laboratories of heaven. They didn't just rule, they taught. They revealed the movements of the stars, the hidden properties of plants, and the art of manipulating the very elements of the earth. This wasn't primitive survival. It was high-level science delivered to a world still in its infancy. For the first time, humanity looked at the stars not as lights of wonder, but as coordinates for navigation and destiny. The silence of the ancient world was replaced by the hum of discovery, as the Watchers began to mold the human mind into something far more dangerous. They opened doors that were meant to remain locked, forever changing the trajectory of our species. One of the most devastating gifts was the secret of metallurgy. Azazel, one of the leading Watchers, taught men how to extract metals from the heart of the earth and forge them into instruments of power. This was the birth of the sword and the shield, but also of mirrors and jewelry designed to deceive the eye. They didn't just make iron. They created alloys that possessed unnatural strength and resonance. These star metals could cut through ordinary stone like water and glowed with a faint internal heat. The peaceful valleys of the pre-flood world became industrial hubs of smoke and fire. Ancient forges burned with a heat that shouldn't have been possible with primitive fuel, powered by the vibrational knowledge of the fallen. Men were no longer just hunters, they were warriors and alchemists, obsessed with the cold beauty of the blade and the vanity of the mirror. But the Watchers did not stop at dead matter. They turned their attention to the living code of creation. In the hidden labs of the antediluvian cities, they practiced what we would today call genetic engineering. They crossed the boundaries of species, mixing the DNA of animals, humans, and themselves. This was the origin of the mythological chimeras. The sphinxes, the griffins, and the satyrs were not mere imagination, but failed experiments of the fallen ones. They sought to improve upon the Creator's work, trying to manufacture life that was faster, stronger, and more lethal. These abominations roamed the wildlands, predators that defied the natural order. The earth began to groan under the weight of these monstrous mixtures, as the sacred boundaries of the flesh were dissolved in a pursuit of biological godhood. The world had become a living laboratory of horrors, where nothing was as it should be. The architecture of the ancient world was not just for shelter, it was a global energy grid. The Watchers taught men how to move stones weighing hundreds of tons with the power of sound and vibration. Using acoustic levitation, they built structures like Baalbek and the foundations of the pyramids with a precision that modern engineering still struggles to replicate. These megaliths were perfectly aligned with the stars, functioning as resonators for the Earth's natural electromagnetic field. They were wireless power stations providing energy for the advanced tools and cities of the Nephilim. Imagine a world where massive stone towers hummed with invisible power, and ancient cities were illuminated by ever-burning lamps that required no oil. This was a civilization that didn't need fossil fuels. They had mastered the physics of the vacuum and the resonance of the planet itself, creating a network of power that spanned the entire globe. As the knowledge of the Watchers matured, the tools of creation were repurposed for destruction. This was the era of the first weapons of mass destruction. Ancient myths from across the globe describe arrows of fire that could level cities and thunderbolts that melted stone into glass. These were not metaphors for primitive spears. They were descriptions of directed energy weapons and vibrational frequencies used as artillery. The Nephilim kings didn't just fight with muscle. They fought with the harnessed power of the elements. In the sands of the Sahara and the deserts of Rajasthan, we still find layers of radioactive green glass, evidence of intense heat that predates modern nuclear history. The Watchers had turned the Earth into a testing ground for celestial warfare, arming their monstrous suns with devices that could rip the atmosphere apart. It was a time of terrifying technological superiority, where the sound of a horn could shatter a fortress and a single staff could summon the wrath of the heavens. Technology was not limited to the physical realm. The Watchers also mastered the technology of the mind. They taught the arts of enchantment and pharmakia, the use of chemical substances and frequency-based hypnosis to subdue the human will. By combining complex sounds with specific visual patterns, they could induce trances or mass hallucinations, making the population see them as divine protectors rather than cosmic invaders. This was the first era of mass propaganda, where magic was simply advanced psychology and neurobiology. They mapped the human soul to better manipulate its desires, creating a society that was spiritually enslaved while physically mesmerized by the wonders of the fallen. Their ever-burning lamps and speaking statues were tools of awe, designed to keep humanity in a state of perpetual worship. They built a world of illusions where the line between reality and the supernatural was blurred by the cold precision of celestial manipulation. The most shocking realization is that the pre-flood world was connected. This was a global civilization linked by a network of communication that utilized the Earth's own resonance. The megalithic structures were not isolated monuments. They were nodes in a planetary system. Through the use of seer stones and scrying mirrors, which we would today recognize as tablets and screens, the Watchers and their heirs could communicate across continents in an instant. This ancient internet allowed for the coordination of resources, the tracking of celestial movements, and the absolute control of the global empire. Knowledge was stored in halls of records, deep underground vaults where information was encoded in crystals rather than paper. They had a singular language and a singular purpose: to challenge the sovereignty of the heavens. It was a digital age made of stone and spirit, a peak of connectivity that humanity would not reach again for thousands of years, until our current era of silicon and satellites. Technological hubris of the Watchers finally reached its breaking point. Their world had become a high-tech nightmare of genetic corruption, environmental destruction, and spiritual darkness. The Great Flood was not just a punishment, it was a necessary system reset to save the human blueprint from total erasure. When the waters rose, the advanced cities of the Nephilim were turned into tombs of mud and silt. Their machines were crushed, their crystals shattered, and their star metals buried under miles of sediment. But the technology was never truly forgotten. It remains in the ooparts, out-of-place artifacts, found in coal mines and ancient strata that science cannot explain. It survives in the architectural echoes of later civilizations who tried to mimic what they could no longer understand. We are now retracing the steps of the fallen, building the same tools and making the same mistakes. The question is, will we recognize the warning before the cycle repeats itself? The truth is buried, but it is waiting to be reactivated.